Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, मलनाडु टीवी इंडिया, न्यूज गांव से, संवाद सारोकार न्यूज, भारत पोस्ट न्यूज, ज्ञान and organ donation India Foundation. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic, and today's topic is not only current but very, very important. The topic is Youth Conclave on Startups. But before I will go on the main topic, I would like to inform you that today world is celebrating International Mother Language Day. International Mother Language Day is a worldwide annual observance held on 21st February to promote awareness of linguistic and cultural diversity and to promote multilingualism. First announced by UNESCO on 17th November 1999, it was formally recognized by the United Nations General Assembly with the adoption of UN resolution in 2002. Mother Language Day is part of a broader initiative to promote the preservation and protection of all languages used by peoples of the world, as adopted by the UN General Assembly on 16th May 2007 in UN resolution, which also established 2008 as the International Year of Languages. The idea to celebrate International Mother Language Day was the initiative of Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, 21st February is the anniversary of the day when the people of Bangladesh, then East Pakistan, fought for recognition for the Bangla language. It is also celebrated in West Bengal, India. Media conference with Lal Goel wishes you all on this very special day. Now coming to our main topic, that is Youth Conclave on Startups. A startup or a startup is a company or project undertaken by an entrepreneur to seek, develop, and validate a scalable business model. While entrepreneurship refers to all new businesses, including self-employment and businesses that never intend to become registered, startups refer to new businesses that intend to grow large beyond the solo founder. At the beginning, startups face high uncertainty and have high rates of failure, but a minority of them do go on to be successful and influential. And to discuss this very, very important topic, and because nowadays, startup is everything in the business, which is very much happening. So to discuss this very important topic, Youth Conclave on Startups, I would like to invite and introduce our chief guest of the program. He is Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran. Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran is the former visiting professor IIM Lucknow and University of Texas at Dallas, USA. He is the senior director of Don Bosco Group, Bangalore. He is the founder of Dr. Sharan Consultancy, California, USA. He is the director of Aldo Private Limited, New Delhi. He has done his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad in 1980. He did PhD in 1986. He started teaching and researching business and entrepreneurship since 1984. He published research papers in reputed journals, international seminar proceedings, and chapters in books of readings. He started academic administration phase as dean in 1997, rising to executive director, controlling management and engineering institutes in 2007. Her Highness Governor of Karnataka nominated Dr. Sharan to the Senate of Bangalore University in recognition of his distinguished academic contributions. He was visiting professor to University of Texas at Dallas from 2012 to 2019. He also visited Washington State University and President University Indonesia on the invitation of the Dean Faculty of Business in 2018. He innovated and implemented a unique model to double the turnover with existing infrastructure in one accounting year. He is co-promoter of Institute of Family Business Management Society. He is honorary director of NCR Delhi-based high-tech B2B digital startup. He is also co-founder of OWGI Foundation, which promotes social entrepreneurship ventures. Welcome, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran on our show. Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, today's topic is Youth Conclave on Startups, and we have 27 youths pan India, joining from northeast to west to south to north from different universities, colleges, and institutions. And we would like to know first your views about the startups, and then definitely we will open the floor for the students to ask the questions to you, which I am sure that you will be giving answers to their best satisfaction. So, Youth Conclave on Startups, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. It is always a pleasure to interact with young people. I'm happy today we are talking about something which should be very close to the hearts of each of the young people in whatever role they want to play in a startup. To begin with, we must consider the concept of business. It is a very broad term which looks at taking inputs, processing them, and coming with something of higher value. Business is an entity which takes raw inputs, processes them, and comes with finished goods of higher value. This broad thing has sustained human existence and many a time changed human civilizations. Businesses are very powerful entity in human existence, society, politics, economics, as well as cultural. Given this importance of businesses, we must understand certain distinctions. A business has to be born like human beings, and before it is born, like human beings and any other living creature, it has to be conceived. So we begin at conception, then delivery, then infancy, early childhood, teenage, and then adulthood. Adulthood also is not uniform. What I'm trying to emphasize here is a business in its different life cycle phases has to be understood. A startup is one specific phase, the early stage, and most important, the conception stage. But there are certain things that I want all my younger participants today and the viewers to understand. And that is, startups have a certain important characteristic, which in a very brief introduction you mentioned, scalable. What does scalable mean? In simple terms, it means that if a baby was born weighing 3.5 kilograms and measuring, say, 2 feet in length, nature has made it scalable. In due course of time, it will grow rapidly and become 40 kilograms in weight, 10 to 12 times more, and 6 to 6.5 feet tall, or 5.5 and 6.5 feet tall. Depends which country are we looking at. Different countries have different physiological features. This scalability is very important thing to keep in mind for our discussion today. Because not every startup, so to say, not every business which begins in its infancy has to grow scalably and can remain and do remain a small business. A startup is a recent revolution, last 30, 40 years. But before that, new businesses were born, and not all of them had ambitions to scale beyond a very modest level. This is an important part to keep in mind, because management differs, economics differs, and implications differ. Now, a small business has a legal definition. The amount of investment is specified. I'm not going to name those numbers. People know this, their knowledge is there. Number of employees are specified. And when the small business grows in size, the employees will increase, investment will increase, turnover will increase. So next level will be medium-sized enterprises. And when it grows further, it becomes large size. When it grows further, it crosses the boundaries of nations where it was born. The host country is not enough for the organization, and it grows into what we call multinational corporation. Keep this in mind. A startup will never end being a small business, which 80% of India's economy and more than 80% of developed country economies is actually made up of. So there is nothing shameful or there is nothing to cast aspersions on being a small business. A small business is the backbone of employment, of wealth generation, and well-being and happiness in an economy, be it India or be it America. But a special subset of a small businesses at the time of birth, maybe even a smaller, what today we call micro business. So MSME sector we have heard about. I hope in my brief introduction, you understand what each of them are and what do they do and where is the position of a startup. This is the opening point. The next important point that you need to understand in order to understand the whole sophistication and complexity of a startup, our theme for the day is the growth, the phases. So look at this. You are noticing 4 phases are there. R&D, that is equal to your mother conceiving you as a fetus. That goes for 1 to 3 years. For human beings, normally it is 9 months, 3 trimesters of pregnancy. That is the first stage. For a startups, this has to be distinguishing. This has to have a seed which will make a fetus, which will, for example, grow into a Olympic scale athletic. This is the way it is done. Its genetic composition will be formed there. So a startup distinguishes itself right in the R&D phase. If it does not do it, it has no chance of doing any correction in the subsequent stages. Mark my words. If you are not conceived genetically with the equipment to become an Olympic scale athlete, then the kind of nutrition you are given, the kind of education you are given, the kind of general upbringing you are given will not make up for lapses at the R&D stage. Then you will be destined to either become a micro business or become a small business. Max to max, you'll become a medium-sized business. So large businesses and startups share the R&D phase attributes right at the R&D phase. They are imbued with the attributes. And this is what all the future founders and current promoters of startups should keep in mind. What if I did not have this R&D? For human being, I cannot change the chromosomes of father and mother in a particular fetus. Fortunately, in business, that is not so. If I haven't got the correct R&D, the genes in my startup business or the genes which are right for the startup, then I get a chance and more than one chance, and they are called pivots, Pivots. You can pivot at any stage, but most functional ones happen in these first 2 3 years. Don't postpone it. Early growth also pivoting is done, but that is done to control the rate of growth for management purpose. But so this point is very critical. I hope I'm very clear to you. If I'm not clear to some of you, Of course, as Mr. Goel said, you get a chance to ask me questions, ask the question to understand this one. So this is one important point which I want to make. Rest of the things are common. I don't need to elaborate. Early growth, then maturity, and then stability. And you see the scale of it. A startup in 15, 16 years reaches the stability stage. So those of you who want to found a business, make sure your life is such that you'll be able to dedicate the time, the energy, the motivation, and all other commitments, virtues of character, which a business requires in the startup stage for long term, 15, 16 years. You cannot pause at will. Now, the second thing which I want to bring to you is there is a distinction between a startup in growth and all the rest of the organizations or forms of business. You see, you look at this graph, and there is one on the left, one on the right. The right one I am calling by my name, Sharon School of Entrepreneurship, the new venture creation. This is a standard economic model of S-shaped curve. S is my initial also. Both my initials are S. That is how you can remember. The S-shaped curve says a very simple thing. Whether it is a startup kind of a business which becomes a large business, or a normal kind of a business which grows through the times and processes and becomes large business, they all will have S-shaped curves. But 2 points are very important to note here. And that is the names of non-startup businesses, irrespective of their size and their shape of growth, is different from the names of the stages for the startup. Very important to notice. Okay. In the standard one, in the first one, it is called introduction, early growth, late growth, and then maturity and decline. Those are the names given. In this one, what I call Sharon School of Entrepreneurship, I'm sure you will appreciate the amount of research which I had to do from 1989 onwards. I first taught an entrepreneurship class in a place called Ranchi in the year 1989, sponsored by Department of Industry of Bihar government and by famous Industrial Development Bank of India. They hosted 30 people in Ranchi who wanted to become business people, entrepreneurs. And a 3-month entrepreneurship development course was given to them. I was one of the faculty members in that program. What I want to emphasize is normal theory of business management for the normal kind of businesses is dramatically different, completely different than managing this process in the startups. I cannot emphasize it more. It took years of research for me to find it. Hence, I have taken the liberty of calling it Sharon School of Entrepreneurship. Now, you see the beauty of that model. It is not built by me. It is built by Babson College faculty members in America. Babson College is misnomer. It is actually a university today. And this model is given by Babson College. It is like me going in a coal mine and mining out Kohinoor diamond out of that coal mine. This figure is worth that Kohinoor diamond if somebody polishes and finishes it properly. You see at the x-axis, the names are so damn different. Wonder is the first stage. Blunder is the second stage. And if you see closely, in blunder, multiple chances of falling down, and death is there. You can go out of existence. Your creativity may go down. You may run out of pivots, and you may lose stamina and quit. That is the second phase, blunder. The blunder is also because no startup should ever close shop. They, as I said, in the R&D stage and the early growth stage, get second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and unlimited chances. They are all called pivots. So you can use the pivot and come out of the blunder stage and move to the next one. Next one is thunder. That is when the world out starts noticing your existence. Venture capitalists are interested in you. People who want to, become great in life, serving startups, building, famous companies. They want to join you by making sacrifices. So this is the third stage. And then plunder. Don't take the negative meaning. Take the positive one. This is when the company, the startup, is now crossing the break-even point and becoming profitable. Before break-even point, simply your costs are higher than the total revenue you generate. Plunder is the stage when you have reached and crossed break-even point and you are starting to make profits. And then finally, asunder is or regeneration. Chances are by the time you reach the 15th year, 16th year, your next generation is ready to take over. You want to hand over or involve them. So second generation of business will come. If your motivation is flagging, the next generation can pump in new energy and save it. So that is the stage. These names are very different in an established company and established management. I at Ahmedabad or my mentor organization, Harvard Business School, which provided the model, the teaching material, the curriculum, the faculty, everything, the software, so to say, to IIM Ahmedabad came from Harvard Business School. Harvard Business School, belongs to the Ivy League. So those schools teach me all the techniques, all the models, all the attitudes, all the problem-solving approaches and competencies with respect to managing a stable multinational corporation, which is where it has become. In these phases, this is what we are taught to manage. Now the question is, who teaches these competencies? Very few people do, though it is fashionable today to offer an elective in entrepreneurship and innovation. Many business schools do, but I will point out to you, it is not a criticism from me. Every education is good education if delivered sincerely and competently. But what I'm trying to say is the amount of personal research which I had to do to reach today to justify Mr. Goel inviting me as an expert on a startup is it requires a totally fresh thinking to design the curriculum, to design the skills and the competencies. In West also, Babson College was the first one which focused on this one. And it is pity that many people do not know this. I am sure if I say Entrepreneurship Development Institute, many of you will be wondering what kind of institution I'm talking about. It is an institution in India in a place called Taj in Ahmedabad. But their rate of success, because they take the established multinational management model or paradigm, tweak it to entrepreneurship paradigm, and the pitiable result is if they take 150 students, only 10% of them become successful business people in their chosen field. Rest of them end up becoming employees somewhere or the else. Whereas Babson College has much better track record. If they take 150 people, 80% of them do become successful businessmen, and many of them become who is who, unicorns, and so on. So this is my final point today. With this, I'll stop here, that the curriculum matter. And as Mr. Goel mentioned, I was sitting in California in the month of November. My son said, how will you pass your time? I have a granddaughter, but how long do I play? So I went to Sunnyvale Library. I've shared that with Mr. Goel. And I did a study. And what did I study? What is the kind of mentoring a startup properly needs today in 2022? There was nothing much to appreciate. So I decided I'll launch Dr. Sharan Investing and Advisory Consulting at California. That is the genesis. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions now.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Saran, for giving your views, and you have explained by showing the papers, the drawings you have drawn, and how things, the startups can be conceived from the conceived stage to the final stage. What are the hurdles and how much R&D has to be done? So everything you have explained in a very, very clear words. And I'm sure those who have joined us and those who are watching our show, they are quite clear about startups now. But whatsoever reservations or whatsoever the questions our youth guests are, they will going to ask. So I would like to invite my first youth guest. He is Mr. Abhishta Kumar Srivastav. Mr. Abhishta Srivastav, are you there? No, he is there, but
Yes,
he has switched off his video. I told you not to keep your video off, please.
sir, the video was on. It's
Okay. Please ask, introduce yourself and ask the question, please.
sir, my name is Abhish Srivastav, and I'm from Shriram Sarup College.
Please unmute.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please ask.
Sir, as far as I have to, I
No,
don't
your college. Where is the city? Which city is this college?
sir, Lucknow.
Okay, please go ahead.
Sir, as far I don't have any such questions to ask him.
Okay, no problem. So I will move to the next guest, and she is Miss Akanksha Gaur.
My name is Akanksha Gaur. I'm from Jagannath Institute of Management Studies, Delhi. My first question is, what are the biggest mistakes made by startup entrepreneurs? And how can I come up with a great name for my business?
Please unmute, Dr. Saran. Professor Saran, please unmute.
What is the second question, please?
How can I come up with a great name for my business?
Come up with?
Great name for my
Great name
business.
For my business.
Oh, okay. Interesting, Akanksha. The various mistakes made are, as I showed in that picture, when you are ideating, then you think maybe you are complete universe in yourself. Seldom it happens. So solopreneurs, as Mr. Goel mentioned the term, is not the way. The first mistake is to find a competent person for the other expertise. For a point to be understood by you, I'll mention Steve Jobs, when he was creating Apples, he did find Steve Wozniak for the technical side. Steve Jobs himself had worked in the companies. He could have done that part of the work of this one. So this is one of the most major understanding whose chromosomes should go. Unlike human beings, where only father-mother chromosome goes, in a startup, there is no limit whose chromosome should go. So if you put the right chromosomes, all the mistakes of the early stages are avoided. Later stages, mismanaging the rate of growth is a blunder. The second decision you made. Then at the third place, what happens is mismanaging investing your surplus. You are making profit in the third stage, but then are you putting them into people, compensation, giving them ESOPs and so on and so forth to keep the reward and recognition system healthy? So I hope you get the complete picture. Now, coming to the great name, find a good creative agency, advertising agency. They know the standard technique is not a new one. We have been doing for 150 years. It is a very standardized process. There is no problem in finding a great name. A standard algorithm is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They do research, they do testing, they suggest you choose one of them great names that will be there. Nice talking to you, Akanksha.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran. Thank you, Ms. Akanksha. Now my next youth guest is Ms. Anishka Srivastav.
Yes. Introducing myself, my name is Anshika Srivastav. I am from Sri Ram Sarup Groups of Professional College, and the college is situated in Lucknow. My first question is for the young entrepreneurs like us that we are in the age of 20, 21, 22. The main risk is the financial management and financial planning. What are the some ways that we can manage our financial risk so that our business will not collapse? And the second point was what are the some common mistakes that the young entrepreneurs like us commit during the research time of our startup, and what are the ways to avoid them?
Okay. Very good. The financial management part is something which I saw in California. I will recommend it happens in Lucknow. And that is a person who gets a $1 lakh annual pay package. That person ends up paying 36,000 US dollars as tax. Balance is the money in hand. Now, these people have some very unique things. Young people like you, 20, 21, 22 age group people, they have resolved that we will put at least 10 to 15,000 US dollar into angel investing. So this way, even if you're in service, you will have a network which will support people who want to go there. So for the young entrepreneur, not to be aware of these networks, not to be connected to this one, will be the only mistake. And that is my answer to your question number 1. Coming to the question number 2, common mistakes are overconfidence, which is what I mentioned to the previous lady, Akanksha. Don't be overconfident, be realistic, see how many chromosomes have to go to make a healthy business model. If you do not find yourself confident to decide this one, we are there. People like me in Lucknow are there. I am Lucknow, for example, runs an incubator. Very dynamic lady leads it. She's the CEO. I hope she continues to be. I met her in 2019. But they will have somebody there. So my answer is the common mistakes, overconfidence and unawareness. These are the two for which mentors are there. And mentors are very happy to interact. It's the happiest community I have seen. The startup founders and their mentors perhaps are the happiest people on earth, most positive, most supportive. So don't feel reservations. Don't be shy. Approach them.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran, and thank you, Ms. Anishka. Now my next youth guest is Ms. Anishka Tyagi.
Yes, sir. My name is Anshika Tyagi. I'm from a KIT group of institutions situated in Ghaziabad. So my question is government have provided some platform for the startup to showcase their talent or design thinking process?
Second question.
And my second question was, what the improvement coming in 2022 in startup, the steps taken by the government?
By who and government?
Yes, sir.
No, improvement coming in a startup
Yes,
ecosystem
sir.
by
Government.
only government. That
Yes,
was
sir.
your question and question. Okay, fair enough. The government is a very funny animal. Some people say government has no business to be in business, so it should be farthest from startups. Okay, but today in 2022, that is a wish, not a reality. So government comes with different proposals to encourage women entrepreneurs financially and provided them offices and provided them, easy talent supply, mentoring as well. Educational institutions get money to set up incubators. So both institutional and personal platforms are available, Anshika, from the government side. But I take it with a pinch of salt because government bureaucracy is anathema to startups entrepreneurship spirit. If I am chasing government resources, I find I spend more disproportionate amount of my energy, time, and enthusiasm in managing red tape, which is something personally I don't advise anybody. The improvements all come from personal institutions, Babson College kind of a places, incubators by renowned business companies, and individuals and institutions are available today. They may have got some government resources, so indirectly that comes to the startup founders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Saran. Thank you, Ms. Anishka. Now my next youth guest is Ms. Aradhya Srivastav.
Good morning, sir. My name is Aradhya Srivastav and I am from Sri Ram Sarup Memorial Group of Professional College, Lucknow. And my first question to you is, what steps should educational institute take to promote startups so that our newly entrepreneur develop a fruitful business? And my second question to you is, I have an idea for a startup and I don't want that anyone steal that idea. So what should I do so that no one can steal the idea?
The first question, steps for education to promote, they must find faculty, they must find administrators who will nurture it and start it. Okay, that is the first step they take. They make a resolve that we are going to start. I'm trying to push some initiative with some of my friends, starting with your own Dr. Bobby. Let us see if fructifies. That is at personal level. Steps to be taken is setting up starting courses and going beyond that. 3 steps. The idea of a startup, protecting it, it is in the domain of intellectual property management. There are MOOC courses, massive open online courses you should do on intellectual property management. That in detail will give you. So I have pointed the way for you, Aradhya. Follow that path to protect it.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran, and thank you, Ms. Aradhya. Now my next youth guest is Mr. Arjun PV.
Yes. So my name is Arjun. I am a first year MBA student in Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, Hyderabad. So my first question is like, since most of the schools doesn't have a separate curriculum like entrepreneurship or being involving a startup or something, so how does actually one, after coming from a having a less knowledge or mega knowledge about startups, and come up into startup culture, or want to have a startup of their own, considering the amount of financial constraints that it has? And my second question is, how far do you think that the Startup India initiative by the government might be effective for the youth, and how well it is being aware among the youth as well?
Very good. So the first question is very practical. And if you observe the reality around you, what you'll find is some friend of yours will spot something which appeal to you and you start building on it. The trigger, the catalyst is your friend circle. So what you can as a person do, choose your friends wisely. As in English, the saying goes, a man is known by the company he keeps. Applies to girls also. A woman is known by the company she keeps. So please think of those kind of friends who have that kind of out of the box approach to things in life. That's the most important answer to the first question. That is how, in fact, it all comes to. Steve Jobs had the idea same way. Larry Ellison got it the same way. They were not the one first originators. Somebody said something which set you there, and then the person who gets it, you the person, will have the competency, the commitment to build the business model around that. The systems thinking will be your asset, your distinguishing quality. But systems triggers will be your circle of people. Okay, family also many times does the role of the friend. Okay, sometimes reading, listening to the media, that will do it. A beautiful world in that respect. The second one is Startup India. As I told to the lady before, I am very skeptic about the things which government does in promoting business in general and a startup in particular. Both have different structures, different organizations, different philosophies, so to speak. How much it will do is very moot point. Take it from me, a startup India will not produce unicorns as frequently as it will produce failed startups which become a small or micro businesses. I don't want to mix my words because as a young person, you take me seriously. Okay, so I don't want to disenchant you. Those things should be only for well-connected. In our society, if we are very well connected, a startup India will work wonders for you. But for rest of us, it will be more a pipe dream than real help. Thank you, Arjun.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran. Thank you, Mr. Arjun. My next youth guest is Miss Ashmita Bhatt.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ashmita Bhatt and I'm from Lucknow, currently pursuing my master's from Sri Ram Swaroop Memorial Group of Professional Colleges. And my question for you is, sir, that if I'm not planning to apply for a bank loan, right? So why do I need a business plan to do any of the startups?
Second question.
So second question of mine is that why do startups fail?
Okay. Why do you need a business plan if you are not going for a bank loan? Well, for one thing, startups don't go to bank for a loan for funds. They won't get it. Everything is so much a future promise that banks have no basis to do it. Only when you move to the third or fourth stage, then bank loan will be a source of funds for you, Asmita. Okay. Now coming to the business plan, even if I'm angel investor, I want to know that you have think through A to Z of your business model. The system thinking, which I mentioned to Arjun previously. Okay. Where do you document it? What is that document called? That document is called business plan. Something like if you're applying for a job, you'll need a CV. Okay. Are you
Correct.
confused? Do you understand this?
No, sir, understood.
Very good. So that is why business plan is needed, just to make your own thoughts crystallize and put it on paper in a way somebody reads it, understands it clearly. So it is kind of a practice for you to do this one. That's why business plan is important. Everybody
All right,
needs
sir.
it.
Thank you.
And why they fail is, as I said, right at the R&D stage, they did not find enough talented team members, founding team, a startup founding team. Nothing can save it. It will waste a lot of time, energy, resources, and cause a lot of pain, but it will fail. Other reasons I have mentioned.
Thank you, Professor Saran. Thank you, Ms. Ashmita. Now my next youth guest is Mr. Ayush Kumar Singh.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ayush Kumar Singh. I am pursuing BBA and I am second year from Sri Ram Swaroop Memorial College of Management, Lucknow. And my first question is what are the problems faced by a person while starting his own startup? And second question is how to make a startup a scalable and a reachable?
Second question is?
How to make a startup a scalable and a reachable?
Okay. The scalability is coming. I'm answering your second question first. Scalability is coming from the talent of the founding team. You may ask exactly what does the founding team do? My response to that one is someone in the market has a need to which you as a startup are providing solution. So that person will pay you for that solution. Once you have reached this point, scalability walks in. And you look at the people, their demographic characteristic, their psychographic characteristic, and then do the lower common denominator exercise. Mohan, does he need this and will he pay? Sheila, does she need it and will she pay? Ram Mohan, will he pay for me? Does he want it? And if you find there is a large segment of people who say yes, 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 by putting those things in your startup concept of product, you have achieved it. We call it minimum viable product, which is universally wanted. Second clause is which is universally wanted. Once you do this, then it becomes scalable. Thank you, Ayush, for a beautiful question.
The first question also you are going to reply, Professor Saran?
Problems faced by those I have already answered.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, Professor Saran, and thank you, Mr. Ayush Singh. Now my next youth guest is Mr. Divyanshu. Mr. Divyanshu, please unmute.
So my name is Divyanshu Bansal and I'm from Jagannath University, Delhi.
Yes, please ask your question.
Sir, I have no question.
Okay, thank you. Yes, our next youth guest is Mr. Harshit Sikka. Mr. Harshit Sikka, are you there? Okay. Next youth guest is Miss Isha Srivastav. Please unmute Miss Isha Srivastav.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir. My name is Isha Srivastav. I am pursuing MBA from Sri Ram Sarup Memorial Group of College. And my first question is, sir, while starting any business, is it necessary to have a backup plan?
Second question.
So my second question is, how do I manage my cash and other expenses in the business?
Okay. Very important questions, Isha. This is something I'll answer in an unorthodox way. People normally think if you are going to swim in the pool, you should have a life jacket accessible to you, a lifeguard system there. That is very fine in the physical universe. In the startup universe, I belong to the school who says, if we have a plan B, fallback plan, please sprinkle some petrol on that one and burn it. Only then you acquire the characteristic to give to your startup all that it needs. Otherwise, most people say, I have an MBA degree, I'll try with this idea. If I don't succeed, I'll go find a job and try again.
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
that is my response to your first question. The second one is how to manage cash. I'm happy you asked it, because in a startup, it is 10 times more difficult managing my working capital,
Yes,
if
sir.
not more than 10 times. So mentors will be there who will have walked the talk, and they are the ones who will show you. But remember one advice right away, cash is the king. And if you can pay for things that you need for your startup by kind, please do that one. Payment is the last option. Thank you, Isha, for a very nice
Thank you very much, Professor Saran. Thank you, Miss Isha. Now my next youth guest is Miss Kamakshi.
Good morning, sir. I am Kamakshi from Jagannath Institute of Management, Sector 3 in Delhi. I have two questions. My first question was, what kind of person makes a successful entrepreneur? And my second question is, how do I determine whether I am a capable of starting a business? Thank you, sir.
No, second question, please.
Whether I am capable to start a business, how I will come to know. Correct?
Okay. The kind of person who starts the business is first and foremost very creative, very out of the box thinker, very comprehensive thinker. These three attributes make the kind. I hope I'm very clear. If you are only being obedient, you never rebel, then you are not the kind of the person. At the same time, if you all the time rebel, then again you are not the kind of person. So the personality type, which is either conformist or rebel, either extremes are not the type for a startup. You have to respect the rules of the game, so that comes to conformism. You have to break the rules which limited earlier businesses and people having satisfaction. That is the second type of it. So this is very slippery question. I hope, Kamakshi, I answered it at least for your comprehension. There is a very important distinction, a very little bandwidth for choosing the personality. Fortunately, today, there are people who are grooming you to come to that desirable band. So help is available. If you are not naturally that kind of a person, you can be groomed into that kind of a person. So you don't have to be born entrepreneur and a startup founder. You can acquire this in the course of time. Okay. Coming to the second one, capable. Wow. Your family should not be discouraging you. So if you have that, then capability is something which is acquired. Remember the three idiots? There he said, build the capability, the success will chase you. Okay, that is the second answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Saran. Thank you, Ms. Kamakshi. Now my next youth guest is Ms. Kumkum Baghel.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Kumkum Baghel. I'm studying MBA from Hindustan Institute of Management and Computer Studies at MCS Vara Mathura. And my question is, what are the biggest challenges to starting a business? And next question is, what is tech startup?
Second is?
What is tech startup?
Okay. I'll answer the second question first. If you are developing a software for some application, agricultural application, or healthcare application, or education application, or many other, you will be called a tech startup. Tech startup are basically the one which are into software business. Okay. So those are called tech startup. And then health tech, agri tech, edu tech, that tech keeps getting added to that one as something. Very simple. What are the challenges? Challenges are, non-supportive, society, family which is against you, friends who keep on mocking you. These kind of things are the challenges at the personal level. Other challenges are a scarcity of, people to join your startup team. They don't want to take the risk. So challenge is how to persuade them to be part of you. In the finance domain, how do you convince through your pitch, through your presentation, through your talk, that somebody should invest in your early stages, should give you angel funds, as we say, when it is absolutely a matter of, so to say, faith that you will be a future success. Very few people can convince. So this is your challenge, to become the person who has the honesty, the sincerity, the clarity of mind to speak that way. These are the real challenges. I'm not talking about bookish challenges. These are the real life challenges. And many people, Kumkum, have overcome this one. So a smile and go. Challenges are there, but they are not insurmountable. Not at all. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Saran. Thank you, Miss Kumkum. Now, my next youth guest is Miss Meenakshi.
Hello everyone, my name is Meenakshi Kumar. I'm from Delhi and I'm pursuing BBA in Entrepreneurship and Innovation from James Rowan. My first question is, in what areas branches of modern economies have recently seen the fastest growing business? And my second question is, startups and innovation, do they always go hand in hand? That's it.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Which areas of modern economy? These are communication, entertainment, health, agriculture, and education. These five are the ones where the hottest startups are being born, nurtured, financed, and creating excitement and all the buzz. That is my answer to the first question. Very specific question, very specific answer. No beating around the bush there. The second one is, are innovations and startups there? I think this is the biggest myth. This is what I discovered personally when I was researching the difference between multinational type of a business management and a startup kind of business management. R&D is the phase where you will use innovation. Early growth is the stage when you use innovation. But damn it, what is innovation? If I start eating my soup not with a soup spoon, but by picking the cup, this actually has my tomato soup, and drink it here. Am I innovator or am I not innovator? Okay, then degree of innovation. I just found a new way to make an omelette versus I invented an egg which is rich in protein by breeding, the animals. Which one is innovation? So you see, innovation is yes and innovation is no. Depends what innovation, which stage are we talking about. Thank you, Meenakshi, for a good question.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran. Thank you, Ms. Meenakshi. Now, my next youth guest is Mr. Noble Jones.
Hello, sir. My name is Noble Jones. I'm a student from Ramsuru College, Lucknow, BBA second year. My question is, sir, what is an angel investor and at what tenure a startup needs an angel investor? Okay. My second question is, how can we found a scalable product service for a startup?
Okay. My second question will be first preference. A scalable product is not found, it is made. Okay. So you have to use your creative juices, Nobel, to put the attributes which a minimum viable product must have. Fortunately for you, market researchers will help you. You make a prototype, go test with the sample customers, typical customers, and take their feedback. And this is how we build the scalable product. Am I clear to you? You don't find it. In a startup, you have to make it. Okay, that point is clear. Now coming to the angel investor. Angel investor is the guy who is perhaps the best creature in the ecosystem of startups. They have the guts to take the risk. And as I mentioned to someone of you, that in California, we were sitting, somebody with a $1 lakh package puts 10,000 rupees for a fund which will invest in the startups. That person is the angel investor. Angel investors comes very early, very, very early in the life cycle. They may come at the R&D stage, and they definitely are there in the early growth stage. Once those things move on, then the venture capital people will touch it. I have a venture capital friend here in Bangalore. She says, if I get some proposals, some entrepreneurs with a very early stage for me to take a call in investing, then I'll pass those to you. So those are the angel investors. We understand a few things, how profitability works. So by talking to you, I will know where your cost management is working, where your efficiency management is working, where market development is working, and how your team is willing to work like a relay race. First player pass the baton to second, second to the third, third to the fourth. So this is how a process is, and angel investors are the people who understand it, and then they take the call and they come into existence. Beautiful questions, Nobel.
Thank you, Professor Saran. Thank you, Mr. Nobel. Now, next youth guest is Parv. Are you there, Parv? Mangla?
Good morning, sir.
Please switch on your
My name is
video.
Parv.
Please switch on your video.
Good morning, sir. My name is Parv. I am from King's University, Delhi.
One moment. Please switch off all other devices, because there is lots of disturbances. I think you have connected other devices also, and turn your mobile in a horizontal position. Okay, Mr. Parv, if you are taking time, I am going to the next one, then I will come back to you. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please ask. Please introduce yourself and ask the question.
Good morning, sir. I am Parv from King's University, Delhi.
Your question,
sir, I
please.
wanted to ask. Sir, I wanted to ask that last week I wanted to take up a franchisee and start up with my own store. So I wanted to ask that it was quite expensive, but I thought that I would be able to match up with the profits I would gain. So how will I gain the profit?
Second question. Your second
Sir,
question,
only one
please.
question.
Only one question. Okay.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
You see, the franchisee is not a startup business. The franchiser is. Let's be clear of that distinction. I may find a good way to make.
Please keep your thing mute. There's lots of disturbance. Keep yourself on mute. You can hear what Professor Saran is saying, so others can also hear. Yes, please go ahead.
So, if I find a very good way to make pizzas, and I develop the minimum viable product, my business development team goes and tests in the market. We find there is a large number of customers possible. I can market it online using services to distribute it. That's my business model. Now, what I will do is standardize that business model. And instead of me opening new pizza stores, I go for the franchise model. So you may be in Lucknow, you take my franchise and become the franchisee. You comply with all the terms and conditions we set down in the MOU. That is the franchise. That is expensive. Okay. But then, even in franchisee business, you see, you can take the model, provide your minimum equity side of the capital, you can borrow the rest of it and pay it off. The expensive thing is a matter of comprehension. It is subjective concept. If you can find financiers who are happy giving you their money to run the business, then it is not expensive. Okay. There is a franchising is not a startup. You are a small business which may grow. Okay. You can grow your network and become a medium-sized business. You can grow it more. You can become that one. Many examples are there. The franchises, for example, car engine oil has to be changed. In America, somebody found a very quick method. Quick Lube they formed, and they were franchises, but they have more than 200 outlets in their company. But still they are franchisees. So those are not their startups. The startups are the original people who found how to change lubricant quickly and find a market for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran. Thank you, Mr. Parv. Now, next youth guest is Miss Pranali.
Good afternoon. Good morning, sir. Pranali Mastood here from Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, Hyderabad. So my question too is that what does an entrepreneur must know before creating a marketing brochure? And then my second question is, sir, according to you, does the society play a role in creating entrepreneurship environment?
What an entrepreneur must know is solid analytics-driven data. Today, marketing analytics is a must, whether you are going for a brick and mortar ecosystem or you are going for digital ecosystem. So analytics driven data from a very intelligent design market research activity is what will give you the knowledge that you need for addressing your first concern. Okay, Pranali, you get this one. You have been taught those things. Now application is it. So the question here is, when we teach marketing research, we teach so many do's and don'ts. For example, never ask a double-barreled question. You know, will you want a baby food which is sweet? Now, this is a double-barreled question. And it's so easy to fall in this pitfall. When somebody says yes, is the person saying yes to baby food or it is sweet version? When the person says no, is the person saying yes to first one, I want baby food, but I want to be bland because my baby is already chubby. I don't want to supply more sugar. You get my point? So this is the trick which has to be mastered for your first question. And I hope you have practical interest in asking that question. So that is what is there. People without practical interest will not ask that question. Now, coming to the second part, society is not one monolithic health unit in India, not in foreign countries also. So it is now coming down to the sub-society which surrounds you in different roles. You are part of different societies. Okay, so please be clear. This is my value add through the answer, Pranali, for your second question. Beautiful questions, very subtle. I enjoyed them.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Saran. Thank you, Ms. Pranali. Now my next youth guest is Ms. Punya. Mr. Punya. Sorry. Yes. Please, Mr. Punya, lots of disturbance. So, okay, I think he will take time. So, next youth guest is Miss Purva.
Sir, good morning. My name is Punya from Goel.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Punya.
I have only one question, and my question is: do we really need advisors for a startup?
Do we need a advisor for a startup?
Yes.
To very much need it. No baby can grow without a mother and father or equivalent. Even if single parent is there, one of them is needed. So my answer is yes, you need it. Those are called mentors or incubators. They may be individuals, then are mentors. Incubators are institutions where a group of mentors are there who nurture a group of. Thank you, Punya.
Thank you, Professor Saran. Thank you, Mr. Punya. Now my next youth guest is Miss Purva.
Hello, sir. My name is Purva Pankaj Bansod and I am from Satara. I am doing BBA IB from Ajinkya D.Y. Patil University, Pune. So my first question is, what are the challenges faced by teenagers when they start new business and how they can overcome those? And my second question is, what are the essential steps should be taken by government or colleges to create awareness between the young youth to start new business?
Okay. The challenges and overcoming them, we have been talking quite a lot. But first and foremost is you to prepare yourself mentally, which comprises of what we call in management language, overcoming your limiting beliefs. For example, I may be walking in the morning for 10 minutes. If somebody says, let us go walking on Sunday for 3 hours, I may have a limiting belief. I said, no, maximum I walked was 40 minutes. I will not be able to do it. That limiting, give up before trying. So that is one challenge above Purva, which I mentioned to others. If you overcome that, all other challenges will be overcome. Then coming to the initial preparation part, teach yourself to manage people to do things for you. We know this in childhood. Then we lose it in our teenage years. In our childhood, we knew how to get whatever we wanted, food we wanted, rest we wanted, love we wanted. We knew how to manage the grown-up. Then we lose it. That's poor part of our education, maybe formal and informal. That you start reigniting in yourself. And I think that will serve the preparation for all initial things you need to do for a business. Okay. Remember King Bruce and the spider. That is your initial preparation. You never fail unless you quit. You have seen that poster 1,000 times, but do you believe in it? Or it is killed by some limiting belief? If it is being throttled by some limiting belief, overpower that limiting belief. Beautiful question, Purva.
Thank you, Professor Saran, and thank you, Ms. Purva. I can see some name called Harika, but I don't think that she is our Miss Harika. Please unmute yourself. Yes, Miss Harika, you are from which college and student?
MLRTM, Malakshman Reddy Institute of Technology.
But you are not registered with us earlier? Okay. Okay, please go ahead. Ask the question. And
I am Harika, pursuing MBA from Malakshman Reddy Institute of Technology and Management, situated in Hyderabad. And my first question is, how much money does it take to be an angel investor? And my second question is, what are the stages to startup funding?
The second question?
Stages of startup funding.
Okay. You see, for angel investors, the amount of money is very flexible. And these days, they become part of a pool. A fund is created. So, any amount of money people can put in there. As I mentioned, the California example, people can begin with few thousand to few lakhs to few crores to multiple crores. So that is the range, Harika. That is the answer to your first question. There is a range, not one number, but a wide range. That is it. That will depend, do you want to completely invest by yourself into the promising a startup, or do you want to bring in other investors as well? Second model is more common. First one is less common. The first one needs more corpus. The second one needs a smaller investments. The second question was, what is the status? The status is very encouraging. The growth in angel investing over the last 2 years has been fantastic. So there is very receptive environment for angel investors, both on the supply side and on the demand side. Okay. Plus the techniques of assessing have become very good. So this is the answer. I think almost by asking this question, thinking of starting a business, all the very best.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran. Thank you, Ms. Harika. Please send your details so that certificate can be issued properly with your name and phone number, etc. And now, my next youth guest is Ms. Runjhun Tyagi. Please unmute.
So my name is Runjhun Tyagi. Currently, I am pursuing MBA from Kite Group of Institutions, Ghaziabad. So my first question is, what is the role of startups in GDP in developing countries like India? And is there any skill requirement for startups?
Second one?
Any skill requirement for startup?
Okay. The role of startups today has become very vital for creating a higher GDP as well as creating employment. Most importantly, it is environment required for development of the excluded people so far. By definition, startups are unorthodox. They don't tread the well-trodden path. So they are very vital in the economy, not only from GDP point of view, Runjhun, but from the employment and general well-being from the society. If you have to solve critical problems, startups are your answer. Coming to the skill set, I outlined them in my introductory portion. Now that you are asking, I'm sure some points are not clear. So let me re-emphasize one of them. The ability to pivot is the top skill a startup founder needs. Why? Because life will keep on throwing problems at the startup founders, and they have to keep on pivoting to overcome those. And that is why my answer to you is the pivoting skill and the attitude psychologically which goes with it is must have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Saran, and thank you, Ms. Runjun. Now I'm starting. Time is short, so now you have to not to introduce. Just ask the question immediately, and the short answer from Professor Saran. Ms. Runjun, I'm now going the reverse way. Ms. Runjun Tyagi, your third question.
So my third question is, how can the number of startups be increased in the developing countries?
If you as a young professional decide to go serve in a standard organization, please follow the California model, do save some money, start a angel corpus, take the initiative. That is the best thing that you can do. Thank you, Runjun.
Ms. Purva Bansod.
Hello, sir. So my third question is, what are those skill and quality that are very that one entrepreneur must have?
Optimism is the quality, and the skill is, as I said, pivoting skill. If it's a roadblock, how to go around that one, that is pivoting. That skill is must.
Mr. Punya.
Then no question.
No question. Pranali. Pranali. Not there. Okay. Then Parv.
I don't have any question, sir.
Okay. Mr. Nobel. Mr. Nobel Jones. No. Meenakshi.
So my question is, how will a startup ecosystem be sustainable?
Multiple players must come into play. The experts who can help conceptualize and organize, be it legal system or the commercial system, they must start partnering. That's the one most important thing. Now, many non-business, non-profit organizations are taking this initiative. Find them, support them at individual level.
Kumkum Baghel.
No, sir, I don't have any question.
Kamakshi.
Yes, sir. My question is, what tech startup?
What?
Tech startup.
You asked, sorry, you asked the question properly again. Miss Kamakshi, please ask the question again. Unmute yourself.
What tech startup?
Tech startup?
Yes, sir.
Mostly, the rule of thumb is if you have some software involved to be developed, that's your business proposition. Those are called techs. But this is the current definition. That is the tech definition. You are developing some software, some app, as we popularly call it, and sell it on Google App Store or Apple App Store or Microsoft, vendors, developers. That is called tech. I mean, that's the one answer I can give you.
Isha Srivastav.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My third question is, does location matter while starting any business?
After pandemic, the answer is no. Everything has gone virtual. So how does location matter? And in any case, best of the startup is started in a garage. So if you want me to answer, I say garage is the best location for starting a startup.
Mr. Ayush Kumar Singh.
Sir, no questions.
Okay.
Ashmita Bhatt. Miss Ashmita Bhatt, please unmute. Please unmute.
So my question for you is that why what every startup needs when we establish any of the startups?
A startup needs what is technically called product market fit. Remember something which is very vital in a startup universe. People don't buy what you sell. They buy what they want. Your ability, cognitive ability to read what they really want is the most important thing. Thank you, Smith.
Mr. Arjun PV.
Sir, my question is that how, like, what should be the primary stage that one should actually go for? If you're having an idea, or if they're having an idea in their mind, what should be the first step that they should try? I mean, I'm not going into deep, but the primary attitude that they should have is what I want to know.
Start thinking systems. Define what are the subsystem components. What kind of people will you need to build the idea? What kind of money will you need? How will you prepare to get the people and the money? The three-part system, Arjun, is what you need at earlier stage. Rest everything can follow, but these three things you need. And you will be the one who will be thinking how to get the people and how to get the money.
Aradhya Srivastav.
Yes, sir. So my third question to you is, what kind of entity should I set up when I just start my business?
You can set up a sole proprietorship, solopreneur, but that is going to be dangerous. Very few people succeeded in solo in the startup world. So minimum you'll need is 2 people, and most preferred one is a corporation, like private limited company. Then you'll issue your shares, IPO will happen, you'll become public limited. That's a growth path. That's my take of it. But ask a corporate legal expert. They'll give you much better advice than I can give you.
Anishka Tyagi. Please unmute. Anishka Tyagi, please unmute. Anishka Tyagi, please unmute. Yes.
Yes, sir. So my third question was that what step we have taken firstly towards taking care of startup, that what we are actually looking forward to.
A lot of experts have started doing mentoring and advising. A lot of organizations have made their lending very transparent. These 2 things have encouraged young people like you to say that I can negotiate this ecosystem. So the general friendliness, so to say, of a startup ecosystem in a city like Bangalore, in a city like Hyderabad, in a city like Pune, in city closer to your place, Ghaziabad, that domain, NCR we call it, Gurgaon, that is helping. A lot of nice things are happening.
Okay. Next is Anishka Srivastav.
No question, sir.
Akanksha Gaur.
Sir, no question.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, all of you. And now I would like to invite again the chief guest to say a few words about today's program and your way forward for this young youth guest.
I am very impressed with the kind of questions I fielded. Some of them were very difficult, I must confess. I had to think very fast on my feet. So I appreciate the talent of the young people. I hope some of them do practically benefit and try this one, and they approach you for more inputs. Let them stay connected with you. If they want to launch something, we will help them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, and thank you all the youth guests. And today's, you have heard and you have seen how the youth guests have asked the questions on startups. And our plan is, our aim is to enlighten through this program to the youth who are participating and who are not even participating but watching our show, so they can get the benefit. And the idea is to take up one particular subject, and that topic our expert will give you all the answers whatsoever is possible. And you have seen that today many could not ask any questions because they found that all the answers which Professor Saran has given, they are already satisfied. So they were having no questions ready for it. But what we want is that please keep your questions ready. So need not to think and need not to say we don't want any questions, because otherwise your institutions will feel that you have not asked any question, your family, your friends. So it is always better to keep questions ready so that your family, friends, wherever they will show, because this program will be telecast everywhere in the world. They will always see, watch, and tomorrow you don't know, any angel investor is also watching the show. They can pick up if you have asked a proper question. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new topic in our media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. And tomorrow our topic is very, very important, relevant, and the topic is organ donation in India. And our panelists are Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, is one-man expert commission on labor, Government of India. Professor Dr. S. Vasudevan, chairman of IMA, that is Indian Medical Association Standing Committee for Organ Donation. He is the professor and head of the department Urology, Government Medical College, Thiruvananthapuram, and the PDG Rotarian Armunga Pandian B, past Rotary District Governor, Tirunelveli. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, all the youth guests, and thank you very much, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, for giving your expert answers to all the youth guests, those who have asked so many questions. And I'm sure today's program is quite enlightening, not only to those who have participated, but all those who are watching our show and keeping track. And I will like to inform you that our show is coming every Friday, but sometimes we also take on Monday, like today. So keep watching on Friday, but also because you will be getting notification every day, you will come to know which show is for your interest. You can learn, you can either watch live or you can even see the recording afterwards, which is available on YouTube. Thank you very much. And thank you.